Is Miami on fire? We're going to discuss today, are we seeing a rebalancing of the South Florida real estate market, or is this the beginning of an unraveling of the real estate market? I'm Peter Zalewski, condo consultant, expert witness, founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club, joined here by my partner, my co-host, a commercial real estate agent over at Lee and Associates. He does primarily office space.
That's right.
And retail space. That's Oscar Musibay.
That's right. Otherwise known as Stubbs. And here's our real estate Crockett.
I am Crockett. That is Stubbs.
Exactly. So part of the reason why we're here today is we want to talk about what everyone's talking about, right? There's a lot of news coming down.
Hyperbole
From Tallahassee. DeSantis has unveiled his tax plan.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
And we're going to dedicate a whole show to that, how that might roll out, who's going to be impacted. Today, we're going to talk about condominiums, which is what everybody talks about in this town. Whether you live in a house or you live in an apartment, at some point, you're going to consider investing or moving if you're in Kendall and you want to relocate to the city, right, to get more amenities, to be close to the stadiums, to the water, etc. You're going to move into a condominium. This is how everything has been done since the beginning of time here. So
beginning of time was 1963 when the Florida condo law was created.
There you go. Peter thinks he knows everything. So every time he interrupts, that's what he's signaling.
Oscar tends to be a little bit vague. It's kind of speaking very broad generalizations.
Yes, I'm a little slow. I admit it. So today we're going to talk at the beginning about the HOA tracker that you're
ultimately,
doing.
what we're going to decide is the real estate market rebalancing? If you listen to the sell side, they're all saying, market's great. This is a healthy rebalancing. Others are saying we're starting to unravel. We're beginning the doom loop for condo prices. And Oscar and I are going to go back and forth on it. And we will both make our case. And at the end of the day, it'll be up to you to decide which side are you on. Are you on Oscar's side? Yes. Or are you on my side in terms of the outlook for the summer buying season, which goes from May through October?
Right. And we're entering June now. So
we are in June.
Yeah.
All right. So let me lay out the scenario for everybody before we get started.
Here we go.
Okay. So first and foremost, couple key things to pay attention to.
Sure.
What we're facing this summer buying season, May through October, is we got a lot of distractions, Oscar. We have distractions because June 1st, a couple days from now, we begin hurricane season, which means heat, humidity, hurricane warnings, tropical storm warnings.
Humidity is over here, I can tell you that. My hair is all frizzy.
So what happens during the summer, especially getting hurricane season, a lot of people who don't have to be here, they go elsewhere. They go to the Hamptons up in New York. Maybe they go to Western North Carolina and Asheville. They're hanging out in the mountains. Maybe they're going to Europe. Maybe they're going anywhere but South Florida because of the humidity. So automatically you lose a certain buyer pool. And you know who's left? Those people looking for a deal, those people who are local, or those people who want value because they know they're not competing with the same number of people. So hear me out. June, July, we got a little bit of a special distraction this year. We got the FIFA World Cup. United States, Canada, Mexico, they're all hosting it. And Miami's got some matches. So people come into town for the FIFA World Cup, and we'll see how many show up. $250 to park over at Hard Rock Stadium. Can't tailgate. Tickets from whatever I've seen could run into the thousands of dollars.
Why do you care about the parking fee if you don't even drive? I mean,
because what I'm saying is the people coming into town and the argument being made by the developers, argument being made by the sell side brokers, whose job is to get the highest and best, is that everything will be satisfied in June and July when all these people come in to watch soccer or football, whatever you want to call it. While they're here, they're going to go and spend $35 on a hamburger, $20 for the burger, $5 for a fry, add tax, add tip, $35 out the door. They're going to love it so much, not going to care about affordability, and they're going to go and they're naturally going to buy real estate. That's the argument being made by the sell side. Now, follow it up. We get into August. You know what August is? That's the time when locals go on vacation. Why kids are going back to school. They take them on vacation, then the kids go back to school. But this year, we got another special distraction. August, the first Monday in August, Fannie Mae, the secondary buyer of mortgages, they've announced you can no longer do a limited review of a condo association if you want to get financing. So what does that mean? That means it's going to take longer to get financing. It means it's going to cost more. And it also means a lot more projects are going to get rejected. Your loans are going to get vetoed, if you will. Takes us into September. Labor Day. After that, we're ready to rock and roll, Oscar.
That's it.
Ready to rock and roll. And you know what we got in Labor Day?
What?
We got the heated, ramped up marketing effort for the midterms elections, which will be in November. So you know what I'm saying? I'm saying if you're a seller and you need to get out, you either cut that price or you wait until we're talking about turkey, we're talking about stuffing, we're talking about cranberry.
Miami Book Fair.
That is, and Miami Book Fair, of course,
That's
that
right.
begins the season. That's the next time you have to potentially sell your condo for what you think it's worth, even though you're probably wrong on pricing. So that's my scenario for the summer. Tell me where I'm wrong.
Well, let's talk a little about pricing, because I've been.
What about my seasonal?
I agree
June,
with
July,
your season 100%.
June, July, August, September, October, midterm.
In terms of condominiums, 100% agree.
Is anybody buying before they know what it's going to happen with Congress?
Well, I think people will buy because, as you note, there's a lot of opportunity, particularly in the older inventory, right? And according to
we call it vintage, 30 years old or older, we call it vintage.
Yeah, that's a nice way of saying you're old.
Or historically significant.
That's what I say when I'm talking to other people about you. Peter is vintage. He's not old, he's vintage. So in terms of opportunity, the greatest opportunity is in the older inventory, which is prior to what
vintage,
year?
30 years old or older. Why do they call it vintage? Mm-hmm. Because listen, next month, 5-year anniversary of that tragedy out in Surfside. Mm-hmm. Nearly 100 people died. A $1 billion settlement paid out to families of victims. Mm-hmm. Insurance companies, they don't want to be insuring buildings that might collapse. Right. What do? They go to the legislature. They get legislation passed that ultimately brings transparency to the market, whether it's sharing the information and or doing mandatory inspections. Every 10 years, you got a structural integrity reserve study. Right. At year 30, you got a mandatory milestone inspection. What does that mean? Special assessment. Special assessment. Yeah. And as a result of that, we've changed the market. Location, which is all the sell side people. Oh, location.
Right.
No. Now it's age of the building.
Yeah.
Age of the building.
And reserves.
Because of that. Because you can't defer reserves anymore.
Right.
Age of the building is much more important than the location. Location doesn't mean anything if the building is too old and it doesn't have the inspection completed and doesn't have a financing source or a funding source to make the building safe.
But isn't there also a minimum number of units that are required to have that reserve requirement?
Yeah. There's going to be certain requirements. Generally speaking, I think if the building's 3 stories or higher, right, they have to adhere to it. And I think the cutoff unit count is there's
15,
different ones.
I think it's 15.
Basically it's under 25.
Yeah.
But there's different variations depending on where you go. But basically, if it's 30 years old or older, it's under greater scrutiny.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, we came up with a nice term, vintage, to refer to these. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. Please, you didn't mean to interrupt. That's your whole MO. So is the idea that vintage is better because there's going to be, number one, it's going to be less expensive and less complicated, and you're going to have a smaller assessment, which means a smaller HOA dynamic, or does it depend on a case-by-case basis?
Okay. So generally speaking, on the vintage side, and just overall, anybody looking to buy a condo, the most important thing to pay attention to, in my opinion, is the year that the building came online. You can find it at the property appraisal records. Mm-hmm. Year it came online, I want you to realize every 10 years, there will be an inspection.
Right.
With an inspection comes a special assessment.
Sure.
It is inevitable.
Yeah.
So if you go into a unit and you think you're outsmarting the seller might be trying to get out.
Yeah.
Because they know that special assessment's coming. Yeah. Have you swallowed the hook? And then when the special assessment hits, you're on the hook for it, and the seller was able to take the cash and they were able to bail. Listen, our estimate, especially at the 30-year mark, if your building is up to 4 stories, you're looking at $25,000 special assessment per unit
at a minimum.
If your building is 5 to 14 stories, $65,000. If the building's at least 15 stories tall or higher, $100,000. This should be the dollar amount you plan on going into some of these buildings.
Assessment.
And no buyer wants it.
Right.
No buyer's going to pay that. So you know what they do? Say, seller, you cover it. You want to sell your unit? You got equity. Trees grow to the moon. Remember, 2021, 2022, place you bought for $400,000 is now worth $1.2 million. Well, you got plenty of equity. Cover the cost to fix this stuff. Right. And the smart sellers are doing it. The ones who aren't, they're unraveling.
So what's the percentage of vintage inventory in the market versus newer inventory? And what's the cutoff year for newer versus vintage?
So this is right up my alley. So we are working on this summer, because I build in the summer and I fastly build in the winter. Yeah. We're finally unveiling our condo ratings agency. We're going to be rating condo associations based on financial stability, feasibility, and viability. We're not going to tell you what the lobby smells like.
Yeah.
Most of them don't smell very good.
Right.
We're not going to tell you about the elevator per se. How long does it wait? How is the wait? We're not going to tell you about the artwork. We're going to tell you, is the building financially stable?
Right.
Is it viable? And related to that will come your maintenance fees.
So when you say financially stable, do you mean, does it cover its expenses?
Yep.
Or does it have the reserve required by the state?
Any and all of the above. So we're going to be rolling it out, but why am I saying that?
Yeah.
Because in order to do this study the way we want to do it, and we began this back in 2009, the concept when I had lunch with a lender on Brickell Avenue. A lender said, listen, we got all these loans we're holding and we don't know what to make of them. We got a kind of questionnaire it's filled out by a guy. And I said, the guy was out boozing the night before. They're throwing him back. They're filling out the form. They're going to go to lunch. They're going to, they're going to lunch. They're like, let me just send us. And the banks are holding. They're providing financing based on this. Yeah. There's no real pushback, in my opinion. I'm not an attorney, check with your attorney. Yeah. But because of that, lenders want to know what's going on. So we started looking at it. We were told because of the possibility of interfering with commerce, we could get sued. So we kind of put it on hold, but we've been collecting data. Now, because of transparency and everything that happened because of Surfside, 5 years ago it happened, all the legislation is in place. Now we're finally coming forward because of transparency. We're going to be rating these associations related to that. So what I'm telling you is we cast a big net.
Yeah.
What we found is you got about 29,000 condo associations, state of Florida.
Okay.
67 counties.
Yes.
What we found is in Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, 13,000 associations. Take a guess at the number of units. Florida-wide, 1.6 million units.
Wow.
State of Florida. Take a guess, Tri-County, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County. Take a guess.
80%.
Close. 760,000 condos.
Wow.
Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County. 321,000 in Dade, 254 up in Broward, and the remainder is up in Palm Beach County.
Total or vintage?
Total.
Total, okay.
Now here's the interesting part. The sell side industry, all your brethren, they're all talking about, oh my God, don't worry about the old stuff. Don't worry about the vintage. It doesn't represent anything.
Right.
So we dug into numbers. Yeah. And you know what we found?
What?
67% of all condo supply in South Florida is at least 30 years older.
Wow.
So the reality is the vintage market, 30 years older, that is the market.
Yes.
The newer stuff, that's not the market. That is the outlier.
Right.
That is the sliver.
Yeah.
So what happens in the old stuff is going to impact new stuff. And you say, well, how can that be?
Yeah.
Because condos trade based on comparables.
Sure.
Granted, old versus new, but nobody rates condo associations, so they don't really know the difference. They're looking at what did this comp go for? What did that comp? What's going on here? What's going on there? And this is the disconnect in the market. This is the same thing that happened before Uber Eats screwed it all up for me.
Okay. So
you're not going to ask me what Uber Eats did?
Not interested. So let me see.
Cuban sandwiches. Cuban sandwiches.
I knew you were going to answer your own question. Why would I have to ask you?
Cuban sandwiches. There was arbitrage.
Yes.
Arbitrage where you can buy in two different markets and you can basically take advantage of the disconnect in marketing and pricing. Cuban sandwiches used to be priced based on whatever the chef thought. So I could go around and I could take advantage of a $6 Cuban sandwich, or I could go to Sandwich and they're going to bang me $18 for a Cuban sandwich.
Sure.
So I would look for the way to take advantage of it. Uber Eats comes, they roll everybody up. Now all Cuban sandwiches are standardized. And if the chef doesn't want to charge the same amount of what the market rate is, Uber Eats will throw on a spread and put it in their pocket because they're playing the arbitrage game.
Yeah.
That's what is basically going on in the condo game. Right now, we're going across the board. We're saying all condos it's based on a comparable. Comparable doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You have good publicly traded stocks. You have good municipalities. Some municipalities are run well, like South Miami. By the way, you didn't say we're in the South Miami at the headquarters of Miami Community News.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up. So let's talk about why you say that comps don't mean anything.
Tell me where I'm wrong so far.
No, let's get down to the facts and then I'll tell you where you're wrong because there's a lot to work with. I want to make sure I line my stuff up. So comps, why are you saying that comps don't matter? Comps are the most important way of looking at a condominium, looking at oranges to oranges to oranges to oranges. Am I right or wrong?
Well, comps are a great way to look at real estate valuations in an up market. In a down market, does it make any sense? No, it doesn't make any sense. Why? Because now you move into a different arena, if you will. Now, when you're trying to price stuff in a market nobody wants to buy, like for instance, over $5 million condos.
Right.
I've been hearing about these super luxury and ultra luxury. We got this condo and that condo, and they're all ultra luxury.
Right.
And you got your boys here, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook.
My buddy.
You got Alex Karp of Palantir.
Right. Kenny.
You got Larry Page from Google. Yep. Don't forget his sidekick, Sergio Brill.
Yes.
Brent. Don't forget him. Don't forget your boy Ken Griffin of Citadel.
I call him Kenny.
They're all here.
Yes.
And as a result of that, prices should be sky high. And you know what the reality is? They're not.
Why?
These people are simply a FOMO effect. This is a marketing effort.
That's very
This is the fear of missing out.
To understand.
This is what they're doing. They're marketing this concept to get you to swallow the hook, to chase the shiny object. And that shiny object is Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Because he came here and dropped $170 million.
Ken Griffin, actually. Ken Griffin is the lighthouse.
Nobody knows Ken Griffin.
Here, that guy. Everyone who wants to invest in this market is looking at Ken Griffin as the bellwether for what's coming. But I think also,
dude, he's been saying what's coming for more than 10 years.
That's what I'm talking about.
He's been talking about it longer than I have.
It's true. Longer than you've had hair. But talking about the idea that you need to figure out what the HOA means.
But here's the pricing.
Right?
Here's the pricing.
Tell me.
When the market's going up, everybody's trading off comparables.
Yeah.
What did this trade for? What did that trade for? What did this trade for? What did that? Okay, fine.
Right.
Once you start to understand these units, just like if you buy stock or anything, you're going to look at companies.
Yeah.
Now, there could be a bunch of companies that are making computer chips.
Yeah.
You could have somebody like NVIDIA. You could have somebody like AMD. Mm-hmm. You could have whoever. Now, what happens is certain ones are really doing it well and others aren't. Should all the stocks trade at the same price? No, because they're operating differently, which is why condos should not trade at the same price. But this is the argument that's always made. So what I'm telling you is it has to do with what's the replacement cost? What does it cost to actually replace that? Or more importantly, how much rent can I get?
Right.
If you go off a real simple, basic real estate approach, which is called the 1% rule, sell-side people will say I'm full of it. Well, a lot of people say I'm full of it.
Yeah.
But 1 month of rent represents
the value of the unit.
Yeah.
Right. So if it's $2,500, it's $250,000 for the unit.
$10,000 a month rent means it's worth $1 million. $1,000 a month rent means it's worth $100,000.
Right.
Sell side doesn't want you to think that and understand what the sell side does. Their job is to get the highest price possible for the seller. They're not working for you. They're working against you.
Yeah.
They're the ones peddling, hawking, trying to unload these condos at prices that may or may not be justifiable. And what I'm saying is go in there and look at the rent. So comparables are great on the way up because it kind of gives you an idea. At least that's what the sell side people. I would tell you, rely on the fundamentals.
Sure.
Fundamentals are always going to kind of get you through the situation and make an adjustment based on your personal preference. You know, you're a big Dungeons and Dragons fan.
I'm a huge D&D fan.
And maybe there was a retailer that sold costumes and stuff with Dungeons and Dragons.
I know all of them.
You might pay more. You might pay more to live close to that retailer.
That's right.
So therefore, you would make an adjustment to your pricing.
Yes.
So this is how you make these slight little changes.
You know, I hear a lot of blah, 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 but I still have not heard how the HOA figures into pricing of a unit. I, as a buyer, I look at the market and I look at my comps. And you're saying not only should you be looking at comps, but also the operation of the HOA.
Disregard the comp.
The operation of the HOA. That's what you're saying?
HOA is critical because if you get and by the way, let me give you just some numbers.
Right.
This is based on First Service Residential. This is a large property management company. First Service says Miami-Dade County, a building that's I think it's 7 stories or taller. Right. Let's call it a high rise.
Yeah.
$1.15 a square foot per month is your maintenance fee going in. You go to Broward or Palm Beach County, you're looking at $1.02. So what does that mean? 1,000 square foot place in Miami-Dade County, you're dropping $11.50 a month on maintenance fee across the board.
Right.
Some of them are pushing north of close to $3 a square foot per month. You do not get a tax write-off on any of this.
Right.
This is to pay for all those amenities, all those creature comforts that you and your boys, like Mark Zuckerberg and Larry Page, all of those boys.
Yeah.
That's to pay for that type of lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah.
Most people don't want that. I would argue in an era where we're dealing with affordability. We're dealing with close to $5 gas. We're dealing with mortgage rates that are north of 6.5%. And as we all know, interest rates go up, housing goes down. Interest rates go down, housing goes up.
Right.
That's why President Donald Trump has gone after old man Powell, Jerome Powell, Federal Reserve Chairman, guy he appointed. He went after him because he wouldn't cut rates because Donald Trump was trying to juice the housing market, trying to revive the housing market. Housing market's in trouble. Now they got a new guy coming in. The problem is inflation numbers came out today, Oscar. 3.8%. Federal Reserve wants 2% or less.
Yeah, that's tough.
President Trump wants interest rates cut. All the indicators are pointing towards you got to raise rates. You got to slow down the economy.
Right.
Which isn't good for housing, but it is if you were a buyer.
Okay, so I know you have ADHD. So we're going to go back to
the maintenance fee.
Yes.
The maintenance fee.
How do you determine?
This is how you determine it.
Okay, tell me.
$1.15 a square foot per month, according to the First Service, is the norm. So if you're going and you're taking a look at a condo, and if that maintenance fee is higher, why is it higher? You got more amenities? Do they maybe have a lawsuit they got to pay off? Okay. Do they maybe have a something related to
I like this idea. So you're saying that the same way
you use $1.15 a square foot per month, according to the First Service. If you're in Broward and Palm Beach,
I like it.
$1.02.
I think that's a great
system. If you see it's over, that should set off a warning sign in your mind. Now, if you say it's under, you ask yourself, why is it under? Is this a properly managed building? Have they somehow figured out a hustle? Are they doing things appropriately? So there could be a variety of different things, but that is an easy tell. Should I take a shot at this building? Because remember, once you get in, you're on the hook.
So you're saying that the same way.
Look at the age first.
Right.
Every 10 years, you got a special assessment. Look at the age. If you get a great deal, say, okay, what's the age? Okay, if you're in year 9 of what will be the 10-year, then you're getting hit with a special assessment. 25 grand, 65, 100 grand. This is what's probably coming, especially at the year 30. Then you say, okay, what is the maintenance fee? Based on the maintenance fee, you can figure out really quickly which one is a dog and which one is a, thoroughbred.
Okay. Now, you're saying that is the determining factor that everybody should be looking at whenever buying a unit, a condominium.
Well, when you're doing your search. So, for instance, you do commercial real estate.
Yes.
So you're taking people out, looking at offices. So what are you going to do? You're going to show people a bunch of different stuff. And you guys are going to go and probably sit down for lunch. You're going to go to Sergio's. You're going to go to Our Betters, whatever. You're going to sit there and you're going to BS about what did you see? What do you like? What do you dislike? What I'm telling you is I'm giving you indicators or ways. So when you sit down for that lunch, you can pencil stuff up on the back of the napkin and you can figure out, should I do more due diligence or should I simply, is it a dog and should I miss it based on the current pricing?
Now, when you're saying an HOA's fees should be considered.
HOA, Homeowners Association.
That's what I was just going to say, the association.
It typically applies towards single family or townhouse versus a condo association.
Right, but you have a management company.
You have a management company.
And then you have a board.
And then you have a board. Board is voluntary. Management company is typically professional.
Right.
These are the people. Think of it like the city. Right. So I can run for the city commission. I can get elected. I don't know anything.
Yes.
But what am I going to have? I'm going to have a city manager. I'm going to have a city attorney. I'm going to have all these professional people who are going to advise me, and then I get to make the decision. Same thing happens with a condo board, although it's unpaid.
So are you going to rank the boards as well?
Yes.
Because they're the ones that are actually voting on what the budget is going to be, what the assessments are going to be.
From a board perspective, what we're going to be looking at is how frequently do they change?
Okay.
If you have a lot of turnover. It could be an indicator that there's some issues. Typically, when a company loses a CEO, and then they lose a CFO, and then maybe they lose another CEO, that's typically a tell. That's typically a tell of what's going on. So this will all be part of what we're doing. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is look at a condo for what it is. It is effectively a company.
Yes.
It's an entity, and what it's selling is commodities. It's selling oil. It's selling salty snacks. It's selling pork bellies.
Your favorite.
That's what it's selling. It's selling a commodity. It's only rebar. It's cement.
The commodity in this case is condominium.
Is a condominium. That's all. It's rebar, cement, it's glass. Now, how do you get a bump in pricing? You brand it.
Right.
You brand it. You brand it. All of a sudden, you're going to get somebody to chase this shiny object and swallow that hook. That's what Mark Zuckerberg's talk is. That's what Ken Griffin's talk is. This is a shiny object. Get people excited about Miami. That's what 1,000 People Day is.
Right. So is this ranking that you're going to do, when are you going to start releasing that, and how are you going to
it'll be ready to go in November, but the reason I bring it up is we're quantifying the market.
Right.
We're telling you, like, for instance, take a guess which zip code, Tri-County area, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, which zip code has the most condos? Take a guess.
It has to be Miami Beach.
Sunny Isles Beach, North Miami, 33160.
Wow.
The greatest in all the land.
Okay.
Take a guess, number 2, zip code. Yep, you got it. 33139.
What is
3312.
That's Miami Beach.
Yeah, South Beach.
Yeah.
22,000 condos in 331.
I was close.
39.
I was number 2.
33160's got about 27,000. Just to give you context.
Right.
So this is how the information becomes important, because now you can actually quantify what's going on.
Yeah.
You can figure out, hey, am I going into a market where there's simply too much stuff? And what we also know is, what's the age of those buildings in 331239? Right. What's the age in 33160? What's the age? Like, one of the top markets is going to be Hallandale Beach. One of the top markets is going to be Aventura. I mean, here's another interesting tidbit we came across. During the 2000 boom, the boom and bust, the great boom and bust, 2000, we put up 195,000 condos. Okay. Yeah. And it's a big number.
It is.
But it wasn't the biggest. 1970s.
Okay.
We put up 245,000 units.
Wow.
So as great as we thought the 2000s boom and bust was, 1970s was even grander.
That's for South Florida.
That's for South
So
Florida.
what is the difference between then and now, and what drove that activity versus now? Were there less regulations? Was there more migration of people to South Florida? What was driving that expansion? I mean, that's a massive expansion.
Yeah, no, it was a massive. Well, what I would say is Florida created condos. Florida Condo Law in 1963, we created it. We started rocking and rolling. 1970s, it really kind of hit. You had a lot of the people starting to retire. That's the time when you worked at a company for 30, 40 years. They gave you gold rush. Upon retirement, you came down here. You bought a place up in Wellington in Palm Beach County or wherever. You went golfing. You did all that type of stuff. And at the time, most people lived horizontal. They lived in houses. And in order to get somebody into a condo, you had to offer them something special. Right. Maybe you had, besides a shuffleboard, and I know you're a big shuffleboard fan.
I'm a big shuffleboard.
Yeah. They would give you a restaurant. They'd give you a marina. They would give you all of these other perks that you don't necessarily see today. Today, the market is about utility. Yeah. Today, if you want to get in and own something, your starting point is a condo. You're going to get in that condo. You're going to be able to sell it. You will step up. You'll buy something else. And eventually, you'll graduate into a house. Well, what was going back in the 70s, you were coming from a house. And now you're buying a condo where it was turnkey. You didn't have to do anything. You could basically sit on the couch. You can, what's the show you watch, Naked and Afraid? You can watch Naked and Afraid all day about how they drop people in the middle of the forest. They got no clothes and they got to figure out how to make it happen.
Weapons.
Yeah, exactly. Storage Wars. You're still watching the reruns of that?
Oh, I love that show.
What about South Beach Tow? You used to watch that?
Oh, yeah. That's another one. I watch it all on the same channel. It's called the Not on TV Anymore channel. But anyway, getting back to your idea. So you mentioned August as a key milestone, right? And how do you think, let's break this out a little bit, because I think you're right. I think August is going to be a very important breaking point for this market, and it's going to change everything forever.
Financing spigot, they're turning it. Think about going out to your the faucet on your place. You go out there, it's connected to the hose. You open it up and water flows and everything's able to grow. Yeah. You close it, nothing's growing. That's what Fannie Mae is doing. They're beginning the process in August, and we're going to have a financier on here to walk us through it. Right. Basically, they're saying, you're not just pushing through a condo loan anymore. Now we need to do something special. By the way, it's not just in South Florida, nationwide.
It's nationwide.
Nationwide. They are adopting and implementing the issues going on in Florida, and they're spreading it throughout the entire country. Then in January, the reserves required in order to get financing where Fannie Mae can buy it. And everybody, in case they don't know, when you go to a bank or you go to a lender and they create your financing, they're going to go ahead and they're going to bang you some payment, fees and whatever. They're going to charge you whatever. And once they got that loan, they're going to turn around. They're going to sell it at what's called the secondary market. That's right. And Fannie Mae is just there. They're like Jabba the Hutt in one of these Star Wars movies. They're just taking everything and they're just sucking it in. Right. They're sitting on it. It's throwing off a return. Yes. And then the bank gets paid. Yes. They get paid for the loan. And what do? They then take that money and they go and do another one. Right. And they live off of the fees for the origination fee, buy down the interest rate, all the fees along the way. That's how the bank's making their money. And then they're dumping it off to Fannie Mae.
Secondary market.
Yeah, they can just keep doing it over and over. So for Fannie Mae to say the review process changes in August, pretty dramatic. And then in January, they're saying, you know how we want condo associations to set aside 10% of their monthly reserves for capital improvements? Now we need to take that. We need to increase that 50%. We now want it coming in at 15%. Yeah. So what does that mean? Your maintenance fees going up.
For sure.
So as the maintenance fees go up, the cost of condo owning becomes much more challenging.
So in your mind, based on all the experience that you have, is it better for a condominium to build up to let's say they have to replace a roof, do a 20% increase rather than 15, and then have that extra 5% go towards specifically the roof, or do a special assessment when the roof life is over?
I think what's critical is going to be, number one, the building has to, and I'm looking at it from an investor perspective.
Yeah, from an investor point of view.
So number one, the building has to have had its mandatory inspections done. There's two of them. There could be one every 10 years called the Structural Integrity Reserve Study, or one a year 30 called the milestone inspection.
When you say mandatory, you mean the city or the county is requiring it?
The state of Florida.
Okay. Right. But I'm saying the body, the government body that is the filter for that is your local city or your local, right?
Well, they'll be the ones who enforce it.
That's right.
Okay. But ultimately, it doesn't matter what they say.
Okay.
City or county.
Right.
What matters is if you don't have the inspection done, you're not getting insurance.
Right.
And if you cannot get insurance, your mortgage is in default.
Yes. That's right.
Bank needs insurance in order to provide financing.
For sure.
And check with your lender, check with your attorney, but just generally speaking. Right. So what I'm saying is, as all this stuff starts to play out, there are different guards, if you will, to make sure that even if the state or the government's not doing it, the industry, insurance company is going to make sure that stuff kind of gets put in place. But what's important is mandatory inspection.
Right.
Make sure you got the inspection done, because if you, at least that's giving you a roadmap, just like you buy a certified pre-owned car, which is basically a used car with a report. So you get the mandatory inspection. It's giving you a roadmap. It's telling you what has to be done. What is the shelf life of all these critical components of a building, and how much is it going to cost?
So who benefits the most up to August? Is it the seller?
It's the seller trying to get out, or the buyer trying to get into a unit, which comes August. They're probably not going to be able to get financeable.
And that, I think, is interesting, because it does motivate the seller to decrease their prices right now to get out before this bottleneck.
That's right.
That's going to occur in August.
Or they got to fasten the seatbelt and they got to hold on till we're talking turkey, we're talking stuffing, and we're talking cranberries in November.
So here's
so they got to ride this thing out. And let me tell you what happens in November. The votes go on at the condo association about the upcoming 2027 budget.
Right.
And do you think maintenance fees are going down next year versus this year?
No, they're going to go up.
They're going up.
That 15%.
And now, therefore, it impacts pricing.
Right.
What I'm telling you is Fannie Mae closing, turning off the spigot, or shutting, narrowing it.
Yeah.
This is going to allow only all cash buyers or people buying with hard money. Private lending.
Right. Which is at a higher interest rate.
Typically 3, 4, 5 points higher than whatever the mortgage rate is. Today's mortgage rate, 6.5.
So that would mean 10%, 11%.
North of 10%.
Imagine that, what that's going to do to the market.
Well, but you can pay what you can pay monthly.
Right.
So is the money going to the seller, or is the money going towards the lender?
Yeah.
And that's where the rub is. That's why the downward pressure on pricing. That's why I'm making the argument, while the real estate industry, the sell side is saying, oh, this is a healthy rebalancing. I'm making the argument, this is the beginning of the unraveling.
So I see potentially where there is a significant unraveling, in that if we think we have an affordability crisis now,
$5 gas.
It's insane what's going to happen when that 15% kicks in, because all those people, older people who have been living in, let's say, Miami Beach for a long time, who can barely afford to live there now, instead of paying $5 if they're in a building that is less than, you said 5 stories?
No. When 2 stories, 1 and 2 stories doesn't have to comply with this,
so
but the insurance companies will effectively force them to.
Right. So if they were barely able to afford smaller increases, when it jumps to 15, they're going to have to make a choice. And what's potentially going to happen as well is, not only are people not going to be able to afford their condominiums, the places they thought they would live for the rest of their lives, but this may push them to sell their units to a developer, and then a developer will come in and convert a small building or a few parcels together.
But that's the problem.
Right.
Trying to get a condo termination. Condo termination, again, check with your attorney. Condo termination is a way to basically recycle a condo. Sure. Everybody gets paid to go away. That person grabs control of it. They take the condo declaration, 300 pages. They rip it up, and now they can go ahead and knock it down, and they build on it. That's the problem. You always have holdouts, which Biscayne 21 taught us. The project over in the Edgewater area of Greater Downtown Miami. 8 people held out. They sued. Fast forward years later, the court ultimately ruled in favor of the 8 people.
Right.
So that developer basically is I would say some things, but we're at the Miami Community News. So what I'm saying is things are changing. Now, let me give you the good news.
There's good news.
Yeah, because I'm going to be accused of being Chicken Little.
You are a bit.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let me give you the good news.
Mm-hmm.
This is, let me talk right to the camera. If you are a millennial, if you are Gen Z, if you're Gen Alpha, I think that's the next.
Yeah, none of those people watch our show, but keep going.
But maybe this could be a clip. If you're a millennial, if you're Gen Z, if you're Gen Alpha, what I would tell you, your opportunity to buy real estate is coming.
It is coming.
What is coming is this opportunity to basically buy at a real price, a place you're going to use, a place you're going to love, a place you're going to ultimately help you to advance throughout your career, throughout your life. It is right around the corner. Have hope. Now, who takes the hit because of it? Mm-hmm. Fat cats like you.
Exactly.
Who bought and Kenny. Got the big run up in pricing. The day of reckoning is coming.
It's coming. Thank God. You're like the Grim Reaper over here. So what I don't get is this, and I'm sure everyone's wondering about this. In the market today, you're seeing the announcements of brand new luxury condominiums.
Yes.
And instead of having 100 that are, roughly, let's say 1,000 square feet to 4,000 square feet, now they're all 3,000 to 6,000 square feet. Maybe they're one floor, there's 10 units or 16 or whatever it is, and they're priced at $20 million. If everything you're saying is true, and I'm not saying it isn't, but if everything you're saying is true, then how does that make any sense? Like, these people are smart people. They've made a lot of money over the years. How can they market a property and put out into the market these very expensive luxury condominiums if the market is going in a different direction pricing wise?
So if you have a publicly traded company, okay, and let's say a CEO of a publicly traded company, let's compare them to a developer of a condo.
Yeah.
If you run a publicly traded company and you misspeak, the Securities and Exchange Commission, under normal circumstances, today, I don't know if it would
come after you.
They would come after you.
Sure.
Okay. And you would be reprimanded. You might be sanctioned. You might be whatever. If you are building a condo, you're the developer.
Yeah.
Who's going to push back on you?
Right.
Remember, Florida sells real estate. We've been doing it for more than 100 years.
Yeah.
As prices go up, 2% property tax, a third goes to the city, a third goes to the school board, a third goes to the county. Yeah. There is nobody there pushing back against the sell side. Everybody benefits from higher prices and of the concept of 1,000 people a day moving to Florida, of gateway to Latin America, and of the trees growing to the moon.
To the moon. Yeah. So the bottom line is, if I'm hearing you correctly, is that if sales are going in a different direction, right? If they're slowing down, if pricing is going down,
$120 million, which is what you're saying. Yeah, that is not based on market. That is based on a formula. Right. They buy the dirt. This is how much it's going to cost to build. This is what I need. I promise my investors.
That's right.
This is how much I need to sell that. So that $120 million. That's based on the formula set by the developer. It's not necessarily based on the market. Right. The market will trade these condos as commodities. Right. Like oil, like salty snacks, like pork bellies. Sure. When they are peddling it up front, they're trying to market it for what they think it's worth.
So that's good to know, because it is confusing. It's hyperbole and it's confusing, and it puts out a lot of smoke into the market.
That's why you hear about Mark Zuckerberg, all your brethren. Yes. Alex Karp of Volunteer.
I got to go.
That's why you hear Ken Griffin. That's why you're hearing about Larry Page.
With Ken Griffin and Mark Zuckerberg and all those guys. I have a tea time with them. So today's market is changing for the better to some degree, right? Because there's incredible opportunity in the market based on these variables that are coming, right? If you're looking at the numbers, if you're looking at the comps, if you're trying to figure out where the HOA is, you can make a wiser decision today than you were able to make 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Now, this is what I'm worried about, the black swan, right? The black swan was COVID 4 years ago, right? And it blew out our market.
The black swan was Lehman Brothers. September of 08.
In 08. So is there another black swan on the horizon based on these variables? Because usually what happens, it's something you can't predict, but these hedge fund guys that bought up a lot of the inventory in 2008 and, still is holding on to a lot of it and is driving prices up, right? Kept them up at a very high level. Everybody thought it would never end. do they have a potential opportunity here to continue to fuel a market that is a bubble market?
Well, I would tell you, I think it's probably going to be an orange swan this time rather than a black swan.
All right.
But that being said, I think what's probably likely to happen is probably going to be pegged to either AI.
Yeah.
There's massive investment in AI, and I'm sure it's all going to play out. But let me take you back 25 years ago when I was 2. 25 years ago, you had a company called Peapod.
Yeah.
And Peapod bought a bunch of trucks.
Sure.
And you could basically go on the internet.
Yeah.
This is the time, right, when you were watching the movie You've Got Mail with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan.
That was one of my favorites.
Seattle.
Yes.
Okay. And by the way, why do we still use an email? That was like 25 years ago.
It's true. I know you don't read your email because I send you at least 5 a day. You haven't read any.
400,000 unread emails. And I'm not lying. 400,000. So what I'm telling you is Peapod, they went and they were going to offer this service where you basically order your groceries online and then they could come and they deliver it.
Right.
And you know what happened? The market went sideways.
Sure.
The .com bust.
Yes.
Ultimately, today we got something called Instacart.
Right.
They were ahead of their time.
A disruptor.
And what I'm saying is potentially AI because the amount of cash going in it. I mean, we all use AI.
Sure.
Is it accurate? Is it reliable?
But there's a little bit of pushback, not a little, a lot of pushback going on in AI right now in terms of real estate specifically, where everyone's, a year ago, I was talking to brokers who were telling me, if you find any land that can work for an AI data center, let me know. My clients from out of the country are looking for that opportunity. And you saw the trends, right? It used to be a big box retail. It used to be apartment living, multifamily developments. It became AI. And I'm seeing a lot of pushback around the country in communities that say, our natural resources are being impacted. And even big guys like Mark Cuban, and all these big investors who held a lot of money in Bitcoin and all these other things are saying that there's no way to achieve the kind of valuations that people are talking about for AI and the data centers, that you can't have all of these people saying they're going to generate $8 trillion, all this money. So there's a pushback going on in the market. I think that's healthy, that hopefully will put a restraint on it because it's been, the Wild West out there with data centers. And what the value is for community is hard to say because oftentimes the types of jobs that are available in these places, it's not a lot. And
they have more people working at Domino's delivering pizzas than at one of these centers.
I think it's an important issue to scrutinize, just like we're scrutinizing HOAs, just like we're scrutinizing, the valuation.
Simple answer.
All right.
Moore's law.
Moore's law, which
is technology that says every 18 months,
right?
Technology doubles.
That's right.
Why are you building all these data centers?
Right.
If AI is going to be able to figure out how to do something smaller. Yeah. I mean, they go ahead and they create this supercomputer.
Right.
It was massive.
Yeah.
Now we have the computer basically in our glasses. You can wear glasses. So, this is kind of the way it plays out. I'm just saying with time, they're going to figure out much more efficiency is what I would say. I'm not saying the AI isn't pertinent. It's not going to be necessary. It's not going to be here.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying we tend to get ahead of our skis.
Sure.
This is the FOMO, fear of missing out. This is the buying on the rumors. So potentially if there's a black swan or an orange swan under this circumstance, it's probably something related to AI. Something figures out. Something happens.
The fallout related to AI.
But the thing is, people are on edge right now.
Sure.
They're on edge. And when that happens, there's typically one thing that sends them to the exits.
Yeah.
Remember, it's the stairs up and the elevator down.
Yeah.
That's the way it tends to go on and on and on. But we're coming to the end of the show, Oscar.
We are.
So
the lesson of the day today.
What we have to decide.
Tell me.
Is we have to decide, is the sell side right on the condo market, that this is a healthy rebalancing of the market? We saw an increase in sales during the winter buying season of November through April because prices came down. Or is this the unraveling of the market based on the case I made?
But when you say unraveling, define it. When you say unraveling, how does it manifest?
Well, it manifests and it's a slow drip.
Okay.
It starts to go down. Comparables start to change.
That the inventory remains the same or increases.
Yep. Financing becomes harder. Now the only people buying are all cash or private loans.
So by unraveling, you mean the
lower price. Yep. They want a lower price. And if you need to get out because you can't afford it, because of everything else, maybe you had a lifestyle change, maybe you're moving somewhere, maybe you got divorced, maybe whatever. How do you get out? You have to cut your price.
Yeah.
So 4 deals in a building will recalibrate the building, reset the building. A commercial real estate appraiser told me. Yes. Somebody can appraise any kind of real estate. Yes. So 4 in a building resets the price, just like when it was going up.
Yeah.
With all your boys who came here in 2021, 2022, 2023, when they didn't have to wear masks.
Yes.
When they could work from home.
Yeah.
When Miami Beach permitted them to twerk on police cars on Ocean Drive.
Right.
They bid it up.
Yes.
Now, as they start to unravel, it changes the dynamics. And once it starts to accelerate, it becomes interesting. So, Oscar Musibay, is the condo market in South Florida and indirectly housing market, because people who live in houses tend to make their money off the condos some way, somehow, financing, interior design, selling tile, doing whatever. Is the market, is it recalibrating like the sell side industry will tell you, or is it unraveling like I'm laying claim of it? And I want you to gauge it, and I want you to evaluate it based on the flame, the heat necessary to cook a local cuisine. It could be something like a bagel and schmear, which is the coldest it can be.
Right.
Or it could be something extremely scorching, like whatever you want to choose.
So I think that for a buyer, and for a smart buyer that's going to look at all these new variables that they can use to make smart decisions on investments, that the market is a firestorm like the kind that you would expect would be needed to make a delicious churrasco, right? That's where I think the market is for buyers, not for sellers. I think sellers are going to be challenged and they have to figure it out. And either they're going to have deep enough pockets to sit on the units until another wave comes, or they're going to have to drop their prices even more, because I agree with you. August is a coming to Jesus kind of moment. You got to decide which side of that line you're going to be, because if you're going to sell, you got to drop your price. And if you're going to buy, a lot of opportunity is going to be available. So I'm excited about that, because you know me, I'm all sunshine and rainbows. So
don't forget the unicorns
and the unicorns.
My Little Pony,
my
right?
Favorite pony.
You were
my favorite pony.
Yeah, My Little Pony, whatever it was.
That's right. So I'm excited about the next few months, because I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity, and the banks have a part to play in this, and we should be talking to our banks and deciding how are we going to move forward, because the reality is,
the banks are already saying how they're moving forward.
Yeah.
They're not going to be financing condos.
They're not going to be financing condos,
and we're going to get a financier veteran in here to walk us through all the details.
Right. And I think the other issue is affordability. I can't say it, affordability, because in our market, everybody likes to talk about it, but these things that are happening right now, just building in these, like in one spot here and one spot there isn't enough construction. You want more jobs? There should be government focused entirely on generating jobs around building more housing.
Yeah, but
we're
building stuff, but we're building ballrooms and other things.
Right, but what I'm talking about is apartment buildings, multifamily, that is affordable, that if necessary is subsidized, because the reality is people are not going to be able to stay here. In the worst case scenario, if they are forced because of assessments to sell their units, these people, older people, many people who have lived here for a long time, where are they going to go? Where can they go? To the moon, like you said, the trees go to the moon. There's nowhere to go. So we're creating a kind of ticking bomb here that's going to blow up in our face, and it's going to be very difficult to address.
Gen Z and millennials should be getting excited, because their window is coming. It's coming.
Let's hope so. So we want to thank you for joining us.
My take.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Yours is more important than mine. Go ahead.
Well, I
think you already said it for an hour.
No, but what I would say is, listen, when you look at this real estate market, I want you to think of this as like a caja china.
Oh, I like it.
So we're roasting the pig.
Yeah.
And the cajachina is doing its work. Are we talking about
digging a hole for the cajachina, or a surface cajachina?
Well, you're a little bit. Well, you are kind of traditional, but you are a little bougie.
Bougie.
So let's just say we take a little. It's kind of inset.
Yeah.
It's not all the way down. It's halfway. So this is a cajachina,
right?
And we're cooking it right now, and it's in the process. So you keep lifting up the top
to figure it out.
You're checking it out. Is it close? Is it not? But what I'm telling you is, get ready to chow down and make sure you have plenty of mojo or whatever you put on it, and plenty of bread, because it's going to be a good feed.
It's going to be a good feed,
is what I think. So have faith, and if you're a seller, buckle down and look forward to turkey, stuffing, and cranberries in November, because that's your next time you're getting
Miami Book Fair.
And it might be Book Fair.
So we want to thank Community Newspaper for having the show, allowing us to come here and chat, talk, and just, flap our gums all afternoon, because this is an amazing place. If you haven't been here, we recommend you come down. They have breakfast. They have special events here in the headquarters, which is like a museum of journalism and family and community and business. That's the most important part.
Come on down. They'll give you a tour.
They'll show you the whole thing. And it's amazing because two brothers run it, Grant and Michael, and they have done.
Which of the brothers do you like more? You like Grant or you like Michael more?
I'm going to plead the fifth on that because I've known him for a long time. It depends on the day, I mean, sometimes I like you, sometimes I don't. It's, that's life. It can't be all roses every day, but the bottom line is this is a resource that is important to this community that is growing. Unlike some publications here, it's actually growing. There are podcasts here, incredible meetings where you meet the CEO of a hospital,
the former head of the Miami Zoo.
Former head of the Miami Zoo, all these people that are coming here, and they have all of the important politicians that are making decisions every day that affect your business, your home, where you live, how you live. They're coming to these events and you have a chance to meet them and talk to them. If you come and join them and understand what this community and this family newspaper is all about, community newspapers in South Miami. So come down. Call them, advertise with them. They need to put food on their tables.
And make sure you meet both brothers. You got Michael and you got Grant. And let us know which one you prefer. We want to know that.
Yes. So thank you for joining us. We're looking forward to another show next week. It's going to be phenomenal. And please tell Peter.
We got a writer.
Oh, we
got an author.
That's right.
Next week.
That's right. He's a friend of Peter's.
Local
Let's
author.
talk about him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll talk about it next week.
And just a tease for another show that's coming up. We need to figure out this rollout that DeSantis is doing with the property taxes.
Property tax, yeah.
So expect that in the next couple of weeks. We want to dig deep before we start rolling that information out because we want to be able to give you detailed info. Sometimes you read these stories and you come out scratching your head. I mean, I pulled my hair out. I used to have some after reading some of these stories. So we want to help you, right? And we want to give you some tips to help you make your life better and less expensive, right? And next week, we're going to have more of those. So thank you for coming.
Bye, everybody. I'm Peter Zalewski, condo consultant, expert witness, founder of Miami County Investment Club. Oscar Musibay, commercial real estate agent over at Lee and Associates.
I got a tea time with my friend Ken, so I got to go.
Ken Griffin.
That's right. See you later.